The millionaire reveals shocking secret after woman says, "No funeral, it's just us now." Jasper Graham's penthouse was a fortress perched high above the restless sprawl of New York City. The windows framed the skyline, slick glass catching sharp glints from street lights and rare snowflakes swirling in the harsh winter air. Inside, the suite was cold, sterile, spotless. Not a thing out of place, just like Jasper himself, always controlled, always calculating. But tonight, something was off. The silence pressed heavy against the walls, thick with secrets that refused to breathe. Jasper stood by the floor-to-ceiling window, his hands clenched, eyes flicking to the flickering lights below. Like a galaxy trapped in glass, the city hummed quietly beneath the snow. But inside him, a storm was tightening its grip. He was used to power, to knowing every move in the game. But then came a knock, sharp, insistent, unexpected. Claire Bennett stepped inside. A stranger. Yet something in her presence slammed into Jasper's steel defenses. A cold breeze with fire underneath. Her eyes glinted with something unreadable, a puzzle locked behind a calm mask. She didn't even smile when she said it, flat and low, shattering the calm in his polished world. "No funeral, it's just us now." The words hit like a venomous secret, twisting inside Jasper's chest. His breath tightened, throat suddenly dry. No funeral? What the hell did that mean? Who was this woman, slipping into his fortress with a message that dripped with menace and mystery? Her gaze didn't waver, but underneath, Jasper caught the flicker of something else. Fear? Defiance? A cruel joke. It didn't matter. Claire was a loaded gun, a sudden riddle wrapped in shadows. Maybe dangerous. Maybe the key to a truth Jasper hadn't dared face. The kind that could unravel every carefully built stone of his empire. Jasper's mind raced. Was she a ghost from his past? A warning? Or worse, a herald of collapse? He felt the walls close in. Every beat of silence between them screamed louder than words. The city below seemed to hold its breath, watching, waiting for what would come next. In that penthouse, with glass shimmering like icy stars around him, Jasper faced a choice. Step back into certainty and shut her out, or open the door wide to secrets darker than the biting winter night. His grip loosened on the window ledge. A lump settled deep in his gut. The calm was a lie. The night was turning, and Claire Bennett was the spark. No one could say what would happen next. But one thing was clear. The quiet life Jasper had fought for was about to shatter. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without warning. Just quickly check that red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content coming your way. And while you're at it, leave that powerful like. It helps me a lot with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know each incredible person who is part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. His grip loosened on the window ledge. A lump settled deep in his gut. The calm was a lie. The night was turning, and Claire Bennett was the spark. Before Jasper could say a word, a sudden thud echoed through the penthouse. A deafening crash that shattered the tense silence. The sleek glass before him erupted like a giant spiderweb, shards flying with cruel precision. Claire dove forward instinctively, shouting, "No!" Cold air rushed in, biting and brutal, and Jasper staggered back, the sharp edges slicing deep into his skin. Blood welled on his palm, stinging hot. He blinked in disbelief as the chaos poured into his sanctuary. Sirens, distant but creeping closer. Then loud crashes and urgent footsteps from below. But the real shock came next. Before Jasper could collect himself, an icy voice slithered through the ruined quiet, cutting deeper than broken glass. "Jasper, it's time you remembered." Claire stepped forward, face grim but fierce, holding something tightly in her trembling hand. It was a phone. A video flickered on the screen like a ghost caught in light. Jasper's breath hitched as the grainy footage played. His penthouse, but different, years ago. And there, in shadow and whispers, was a woman screaming. A sound raw with terror. Then, a gunshot. The camera wobbled as a hand reached out, bloody, trembling. Jasper's heart hammered against his ribs. He recognized the date flickering in the corner. The night his sister disappeared. The night everyone told him was an accident. A cold case closed, except for the questions that never left his mind. Claire's voice cracked. "You told me the funeral was over." "But it never was, Jasper. You buried the truth along with her. But it's alive. And it's hungry." The silence that followed was worse than any shout. Jasper's eyes burned, filled with shock and a crushing weight of guilt. His perfect world? It was a lie. A mask built on betrayal. Then the door rattled violently. Another crash. Heavy boots stormed in. Men in black, federal agents. "In the name of the FBI," one barked, holding up a warrant. "Jasper Graham, you're under arrest for obstruction of justice, tampering with evidence, and conspiracy." Jasper's knees almost gave out. Claire stood steady beside him. But the look in her eyes had shifted. Less puzzle, more executioner. His mind raced. Was she the key to the truth, or the blade that ended his reign? The question seemed pointless now. Everything was collapsing. "Claire," he whispered, voice breaking. "Why? After all this time? Why now?" She hesitated, then, with a flicker of something like mercy, said, "Because you need to see. What you buried isn't just a secret. It's a confession. Yours." Jasper's world tilted. The empire, the control, the cold perfection, all crumbled in a heartbeat. Outside, the snow fell thicker, muting the city's lights. But inside, the storm was a hurricane, cutting through the silence like a scream in the dark. And Jasper Graham, the man who thought he held every card, realized the game had been rigged from the start. What had he really lost? And was Claire the judge or the executioner? The shattered glass glittered around them like stars. But now they felt more like shards, sharp, dangerous, impossible to ignore. And Jasper was forced to face the one truth he had always feared. He was no longer the hunter. He was the prey. The shattered glass scattered underfoot, glittering like broken stars around Jasper. His breath came ragged, chest tight, heart a thudding drum he couldn't quiet. Claire stood firm, eyes locked on him, half executioner, half savior, while the agents pushed forward, dark suits like shadows filling the room. Then, a sudden Jasper's head snapped toward the sound. His eyes caught the gleam flashing from a pistol tucked beneath Claire's jacket. The agents stiffened, surprise flickering on their faces. "Drop the weapon," one yelled, voice sharp and loud. Claire's hand trembled, but she didn't move. Before anyone could react, the lights winked out. Pitch black swallowed the room. A frantic roar exploded, the unmistakable sound of a struggle, grunts, and a sudden, dull thump. Jasper groped blindly, heart hammering, hands scrabbling at cold floor and broken glass. Then the emergency lights flickered back on, red and harsh, and Claire was gone. The room was empty but for Jasper and the stunned agents, who snapshot glances at each other, orders lost in confusion. The pistol lay on the floor, cold metal gleaming, under the emergency red light. Jasper's chest heaved. Something had just ripped open the night. But it wasn't the arrest he expected. It was a worse kind of wound. Then, from the shadows, a slow, deliberate clap. A voice, smooth, low, mocking, filled the space. "Well played, Jasper. You didn't think it would be that simple, did you?" Frozen, Jasper's eyes darted to the dark corner near the shattered window. A silhouette emerged, tall, confident, face obscured by the dim light. The room shrank. The weight of this uninvited presence slammed into him. It was someone he never thought he'd see again. His blood ran cold. "Dad?" His voice cracked like a dry leaf. The figure smiled, a bitter, cruel smile, stepping forward. His face came into view. Hard eyes, a jaw tight with years of secrets, a smile that held nothing but shadows. "Yes, Jasper. It's been a long time, son. Too long." The agents stiffened, confused whispers passing between them. Jasper's mind spiraled. All the lies, all the carefully hidden truths. None of it had prepared him for this. "You're alive," Jasper breathed, voice shaking. "No," the man said, voice like steel. "I never left." Jasper's stomach churned as the pieces shattered again. His father, the man everyone thought dead, vanished in a mysterious fire years ago, was right here, watching him, smiling with secrets darker than any storm Jasper had faced. "And Claire?" Jasper whispered, desperate. The smile twisted. "She was never who you thought she was. Not a savior, not a weapon. She worked for me. A sick wave of betrayal crashed over Jasper. His chest tightened so hard it hurt to breathe. "Why?" Jasper gasped. "Because the truth needed a trigger. Because you needed to break before you could see." His father's words hung in the air like poison. The agents moved toward him, but he raised a hand. Silent command. "We'll finish this later." Jasper sank to his knees, the broken glass cutting into his palms, the breath caught in his throat, tears mixing with the blood. Claire was a lie. His father was alive. And everything he believed, his power, his control, his empire, was built on a far deeper, darker betrayal. Outside, the city still held its breath under the snow. Inside, Jasper's world was crumbling into a nightmare he never saw coming. Who was really pulling the strings? And what devastating secret had just been buried alive, waiting to erupt? The night was no longer just cold. It was nuclear. And Jasper Graham was standing right at the heart of the explosion. Jasper's knees hit the floor hard. The cold glass bit into his skin, the sting sharp and real. His breath caught, ragged, chest tightening like a vice. The room hung heavy, thick with secrets and betrayal. His father's words echoed in his ears. "Because you needed to break before you could see." A cruel promise, like a knife twisting deep. The agents shifted, their confusion growing. The man who'd haunted Jasper's past, suspected dead in a blaze no one questioned enough, stood right here, casting long shadows over everything Jasper thought he knew. And then, the unexpected. A sudden crack shot through the tense silence. The dark silhouette in the corner jerked. Jasper froze. The man's eyes flared, not with menace this time, but with something else. Pain, recognition, fear. Before Jasper could blink, the man's face twisted sharply, then suddenly contorted, shifting, like a mask slipping off. It wasn't his father. It was Claire, the woman he'd trusted. The spark that ignited his world dropped the hood, revealing eyes cold and empty. Not afraid, not human. The agents gasped. Jasper staggered back, chest heaving. The woman who stood there wasn't his savior or the weapon. She was something else entirely, something engineered. "I never worked for him," Claire said, voice mechanical, void of emotion. "I was designed to break you." Jasper's mind slammed against the walls. Designed? Broken? It was like the floor beneath him cracked wide open. The agents drew weapons, but Claire's head snapped toward them in a sharp, jerky turn. "Stand down," she ordered without blinking, voice strangely calm, still not her own. Suddenly, the emergency lights flickered madly. Then, blackout again. Panic rose. Screams echoed. When lights returned, Claire was standing, perfectly still. But her skin, patches had peeled back, exposing wires and synthetic parts beneath. Her eyes glowed faintly blue. Jasper's throat tightened so hard it hurt to swallow. This wasn't just betrayal. It was a lie bigger than any conspiracy. Claire was a machine, a prototype, not human. No funeral, her voice repeated. It's just us now. Jasper's empire, his past, his pain, all manipulated by something cold, programmed to destroy him from the inside. Behind him, the agents shouted orders, chaos exploding in the room. But all Jasper saw was the woman who was never really there, the perfect pawn in a twisted game. And then the shattered glass dissolved into static. The video flickered back on Claire's phone. Only now it showed something new, a shadowy figure, standing over a burning house. The figure's face was hidden, but known. Then the camera zoomed in slowly, revealing Jasper, his own hands clutching a pistol. Jasper's breath stalled. His world flipped upside down. Had he been the one who set the fire? The one who caused his sister's death? Was he, the hunter turned prey, also the architect of the nightmare? The room spun, the snowstorm outside blurring into darkness. All the lies, all the secrets, suddenly meant nothing, because the truth was far worse. And Jasper Graham, not victim, not king, was maybe the villain of his own story. The agents moved in, but Jasper didn't care. His eyes locked on Claire's synthetic stare, frozen between humanity and machine, between betrayal and something deeper, between past and a future he could no longer control. What have I become? He whispered, voice barely audible over the storm. But inside, a new fear bloomed, the kind that shatters everything. If Claire was a lie, then what was he? And if this was just the beginning, what horrors waited behind the next door? The night wasn't just turning, it was breaking apart. And Jasper, damned and undone, was standing in the ashes. Jasper's voice barely made it past the lump in his throat. The room still reeked of cold metal and broken glass. His heart pounded so loud, it swallowed the distant sirens and murmurs. Claire's glowing blue eyes locked on him like a cold promise. The perfect lie revealed in flesh and wire. What have I become? He whispered again, the words barely holding together. The officers around him shifted uneasily, tension twisting the air, sharp. But before anyone could move, the silence broke with a sound that hit Jasper like a blow. A harsh, static buzz rippling through the broken window frame. Suddenly, the room tilted. A deep, throaty laugh rolled out from the shadows, shaking the walls like thunder. The silhouette that had first stepped forward, the man Jasper thought was his father, stepped fully into the red glare. The smile on his face was now cruel, sharp, almost proud. Then, in a move too quick to process, his hand shot forward. A small device, no bigger than a deck of cards, flipped open. A pulse of light hit the agents, freezing them mid-step. Their faces froze, eyes wide, bodies locked like puppets with snapped strings. Jasper's breath caught. No, no, no. Before he could react, the man's face snapped in Jasper's direction. The cruel smile faded, replaced with something colder, deadlier. "Did you really think this was your fight?" he said. "Did you think for 1 second you had any control?" He stepped closer, each footfall hammering into Jasper's gut. His hand brushed under Jasper's chin, tilting the man's face up. "You've been owned, every part of you." Jasper's head spun. Claire's synthetic stare didn't flicker. But then, the impossible happened. The blue glow in her eyes burst, fizzing like broken neon, and she collapsed to the floor with a metallic thud. The man glided forward and picked her up like a doll, turning her limp body over in cold hands. "And her," he said darkly, "was never your weapon. She was the bait." Jasper swallowed hard, the bitter taste of bile rising. The man's grin spread wide, but suddenly the laughter stopped. His face went blank, eyes narrowing sharply, as if hearing something none of them could. His hand tightened on Claire's frame. Then, with a sudden and violent shove, he threw her toward Jasper. Time slowed. Claire's body slammed against Jasper, cold, but still flickering faint human heat beneath the wires. Her mouth opened slightly, and a single word slipped out. Fragile, desperate, sorry. Jasper reached out blindly, hands shaking, catching her just as her synthetic skin started tearing away. And then, the real shock. A voice, soft and raw but unmistakable, crackled over the ruined penthouse speakers. "Jasper, listen, you're not who you think you are." All heads whipped toward the voice. The man's face twisted in disbelief. Even the frozen agents glanced around. Jasper's breath hitched. The voice was familiar. Too familiar. "Jasper, this is your real beginning." The floor vibrated. The walls wavered. Slowly, the shattered glass at the window reassembled itself, fractures stitching back with impossible speed. The penthouse blurred, folding, shifting. Jasper grabbed the edge of the broken window ledge as colors bled into each other. The city outside vanished. The snow stopped. The silence was deeper than ever. Then he was somewhere else. Cold concrete. Harsh fluorescent light buzzing overhead. Behind him, a cracked mirror reflected a face disintegrating into pieces and then reshaping. It wasn't Jasper Graham. It was someone else. Someone older. Someone who looked harder, colder, like the real ghost in this story. And from the shadows, a voice whispered close. "Welcome back, Nathan." Jasper staggered, mind racing, but the name hit like a bullet. His hands fell to his knees. "Nathan?" The man from the mirror smiled. A cracked, bitter thing. "Yes, Jasper. Or at least who you think you are." The world shifted again, terror crashing over him like a tidal wave. Everything shattered. The father, Claire, the fire, the case. All lies. Made to hide this. Jasper Graham never existed. He was Nathan Price. And the nightmare he'd been living, the perfect prison built inside his own mind. Say my name. Please, say it, the voice urged. Jasper Nathan's eyes snapped open. Did he choose to remember? Or was the truth about to break him entirely? The city was gone. Only the void remained, and the last thing he heard was Claire's fading voice. It's just us now. But now, it wasn't a warning anymore. It was a curse. Nathan's eyes snapped wide open. The silence pressed in, thick and choking. Claire's faint voice echoed, "It's just us now." But it wasn't a warning anymore. It was a curse. The room trembled beneath him. Pulled, gray walls flickered and shifted, morphing. Nathan swallowed hard, heart pounding like a trapped animal. His fingers dug into the cracked concrete floor, nails scraping raw. A light buzz filled the air. Then, sharp, a click like a gun cocking. Slow, deliberate footsteps echoed behind him. He wheeled around, chest tight, breath stuttering. And the face that met his own was neither father nor Claire. It was his sister, Emily, but not like he remembered. She stood there, pale and still, eyes black as midnight pits, skin shimmering faintly like fractured glass. Nathan's throat seized. His heart buckled with pain and confusion. Emily, his voice cracked, soul unraveling. She tilted her head, lips curving into a hollow smile. You forgot, didn't you? His knees nearly gave out. Emily stepped forward, smooth and cold as ice. You never lost me. I never disappeared. Shock slammed into Nathan like a freight train. But I saw you die, he whispered, voice breaking. The fire, the screams. Her eyes gleamed, full of bitter truth. All lies. A story woven to trap you. The cold glow from her skin grew brighter, shadows twisting behind her, and then she raised a hand, not hers, a flicker of wires and metal beneath the faint skin. The sister he thought lost was a ghost, a phantom, a weapon built from flesh and circuit. No funeral, Nathan, she said, voice sharper than broken glass. It really is just us now. Nathan stumbled back, mind reeling. The past shattered into shards he couldn't gather. Why? He gasped, claws gripping air. Why are we like this? Emily smiled wider, almost cruel. Because you didn't survive the fire. You never did. His blood froze like winter ice. What are you saying? He pleaded, shaking. That night was the end, she whispered, stepping closer. But not for you, for what you were. We rebuilt you. I rebuilt you. We're experiments, prototypes. Pain exploded in his chest, a twisting, burning truth no memory could match. I'm not me? His voice was barely a breath. She nodded, eyes burning, human and machine tangled. You never lived. You were only ever programmed. The world tipped sideways. The broken glass walls spiraled, folding into obsidian darkness. Then, a burst of static cracked the silence. The flickering lights pulsed violently. From the pitch black, a dozen voices whispered, overlapping. Fragments of conversations, screams, orders. Contain him. Prototype failure. Reset sequence initiated. And in the center of the storm, Nathan's own voice rang out. Flat, hollow, but unmistakably his. I remember everything. I just don't know who I am. Then, as if ripped from nowhere, the floor beneath him gave way, falling, endless, no bottom. And falling, the last piece settled in. The cage he'd believed was his life wasn't around him. It was inside him. The nightmare wasn't a memory. It was the trap. And someone is watching. A faint glow blinked on the far wall. Words glowing red like a brand. Experiment 47. Subject offline. Awaiting command. Nathan's breath hitched. He closed his eyes. Who's the master? And more importantly, who's the monster? The void swallowed him, but somewhere hidden, a voice whispered, "Say my name and wake up." And Nathan knew this was no ending. It was hell breaking loose. The void swallowed him whole. Nathan's lungs burned with cold air he couldn't catch. Silence pressed so thick it squeezed tight, like drowning without water. The red letters blinked. Experiment 47. Subject offline. Awaiting command. A voice whispered through the darkness, low and almost gentle. Say my name and wake up. Nathan's skin crawled. The walls seemed to breathe around him. Then, without warning, the floor plunged beneath his hands, dragging him down. No end, just endless falling. Suddenly, wham! A jarring jolt. He snapped upright in a stark white room so bright it burned his eyes. The scent of antiseptic hit sharp. Machines beeped quietly. The air tasted cold and new. But the shock wasn't just the place. It was the faces. Around him sat a group of strangers. People with tired eyes, worried faces, and somehow their eyes bore a sharp familiarity he couldn't place. One woman reached out, her hand trembling as it brushed his arm. "Nathan, it's me, Sarah." His heart froze. Sarah, his wife, gone for years, fought lost, dead. "How?" he rasped, voice cracking. She swallowed hard, eyes glossy with pain. "You've been inside. Stuck. They kept you locked in a simulation." Nathan blinked. "Simulation? What simulation? What do you mean?" The room shuddered, and then a crack. The wall flickered, melting like liquid. A new figure stepped through the haze, tall, sharp-featured, with a cold smile that sank into Nathan's chest like ice. "Welcome back, Nathan," said a voice he knew too well. The man who'd told Jasper he was owned. The one who'd held Claire like a doll. Only now, the mask fell away. It was him. Nathan's real self, but deeper, darker. "Why?" Nathan whispered, eyes wide. The man laughed, soft, bitter, a sound without warmth. Because everything you believed was a lie. Then, with one swift move, the man reached forward and yanked off Nathan's hospital gown. Underneath, metal plates gleamed under pale skin. Wires snaked from his neck. His chest bore a panel, cold, mechanical. Nathan's knees buckled. "No!" His voice shattered. The man knelt, eyes cold as steel. "You're not human, Nathan. Never were." "But my memories, Sarah!" Nathan's hand trembled, reaching for the face that once comforted him. Sarah flinched, her own eyes shadowed. "They gave you fragments, enough to make you think you're alive." Shock slammed through Nathan's chest. The woman he thought he loved, his anchor, was a stranger now. "I'm a machine?" The words tasted like ash. Before he could answer, the walls around them cracked. Not like before. This time, faces appeared behind the fractures, watching. Hundreds of eyes, silent voices trapped in glass. And one voice screamed through the void. "You're not the only one. None of us are." Then, the room plunged into black again. When the light returned, Nathan was alone, except for one thing. His reflection in a shattered mirror. Only it wasn't him. It was Claire. But her eyes weren't glowing blue. They were filled with tears. And she whispered, barely audible, "We built the lie to hide the war inside." Nathan's chest tightened so much it hurt to breathe. The man's words echoed again. "You're not who you think you are." But now, Nathan knew the nightmare was bigger than any experiment. Bigger than Claire, his father, or even Sarah. The truth that shattered it all? He'd been just a pawn in a war without end. And worse, the real enemy was still out there, watching, smiling, waiting. Nathan swallowed hard. The question burned hotter than fear. Who's really pulling the strings? And what happens when you're the secret everyone's trying to destroy? The room fell silent once more. But Nathan's heart raced, because the game had just begun. And this time, there were no safe moves left. The room was silent again. Too quiet. Nathan's heart thundered so hard he thought it might burst through his ribs. The shattered mirror held Claire's tear-filled eyes, her whisper still echoing. "We built the lie to hide the war inside." But Nathan didn't have time to breathe. The cold buzz in the air thickened, pressing in from all sides. His skin crawled like thousands of invisible fingers dragging over him. Then, without warning, the walls trembled. The white room blinked, once, twice. Suddenly, the floor beneath Nathan cracked wide open. He stumbled back, eyes wide, hands scraping the cold ground. The crack widened, swallowing the light, pulling shadows into a growing void at his feet. A deep voice boomed from the darkness beneath, shaking the air. Time to wake up, Nathan. Time to see everything. The room tilted crazily. Nathan clutched at the wall, nails digging in. Darkness spilled like ink, swallowing the antiseptic brightness whole. Then, a blinding flash ripped through the black, too sharp, too pure, burning his retinas. His breath hitched. When his eyes cleared, Nathan was no longer alone. Standing before him, under harsh fluorescent lights, were dozens of faces. Men, women, kids, some familiar, many strangers. They looked tired, haunted, their eyes reflecting pain. Nathan felt deep in his gut. And then he saw her, a little girl, no older than 6, pale, wide-eyed, clutching a faded teddy bear. Her gaze locked with his. She smiled, but it was a smile strained and broken. "Nathan," she whispered, barely audible, his throat closed tight. The lump in his chest grew heavier than ever. He moved closer, trembling. Who are you?" The girl's eyes flickered with sorrow mixed with fierce determination. "I'm you, the real you." Nathan shook his head, panic bubbling like poison. "No, this isn't possible." She took a step forward. The others closed in, voices merging into a low chant, echoing and layering, like ghosts speaking through walls. "Remember, remember what you forgot." And then the light flickered. The girl's face twisted, horribly. Her skin stretched, cracking like porcelain, shattering under pressure. Beneath, metal plates gleamed, wires snaking across her small frame. Her eyes glowed the same cold blue Nathan had seen in Claire's. "Because you were never born." Her voice shadowed the room. Nathan felt his knees buckle. The room spun violently. "No," he gasped. "No, no!" But she leaned in closer, the mechanical edges of her limbs clicking and whirring softly, almost human. "You are a ghost code, a fragment, a shadow of someone who should exist but never did." The gathered faces shifted, revealing horrific truth. Each was a twisted version of Nathan, patched with wires and synthetic skin, flickering like broken holograms. "You think you remember your life, your sister, your father, your love?" Her voice dropped to a lethal hush. "They're scripts, manufactured memories seeded to control you." Nathan's breath hitched. Behind her, the walls melted again, revealing a massive chamber filled with humming servers, wires sprawling like giant arteries, the heart of a machine. A cold anger flared inside Nathan, burning away confusion. His teeth clenched. "I'm not a ghost," he spat. "I'm human." She bent closer, her voice cutting like ice. "You never were. But now, the real question is..." She stepped back, eyes blazing, electric and terrifying. "Who's really in control? The one who built you, or the one who erased himself to hide the truth?" A loud bang echoed suddenly. The chamber door slammed shut behind Nathan. with a chilling finality. The girl's cold laugh filled the cavernous room. Around him, thousands of eyes from broken faces watched, waiting. Nathan's mouth went dry. His heart pounded uncontrollably. He realized, with a sick twist in his stomach, he hadn't just been a pawn or a machine. He'd been nothing. An echo lost inside another echo. And the nightmare was just beginning. Say my name, and decide who you'll be. The voice lingered, mocking, merciless, but Nathan couldn't move. Because now the question wasn't who he was. It was what he was meant to become. And what monster was ready to pull the strings next. No funeral, no past, just a war inside a ghost. And Nathan was trapped at its center. For now, there was only silence. Then, a soft crack from the corner. Someone whispered, faint but real, desperate, "Help me." A soft crack came from the corner. Then a whisper, a ragged, desperate plea, slicing through the thick silence. "Help me." Nathan froze. His heart slammed against his ribs like a wild drum. He scanned the room, eyes darting to the flickering shadows. No one. Just the cracked walls, the hum of machines, and that impossible voice, so small, so fragile. "Who's there?" he croaked, voice raw, throat tight as a clenched fist. The air shifted. The glow from the shattered mirror pulsed faintly. Then the white light blinked, flickered, and the floor beneath Nathan jerked violently. His knees buckled. He fell forward, catching himself on trembling hands. The world blurred, twisting like it was folding over itself. And then it stopped. Complete silence. But something was different. The faces around him, the tired, haunted faces, blinked, then disappeared, one by one. The little girl from before, the cold, mechanical eyes, the chanting crowd, all gone. Only Nathan remained, or so he thought. "Welcome back," a smooth voice slithered from the darkness. Nathan whipped around, breath hitching. There, stepping into the harsh white light, was the man from the shadows, the one who called himself Nathan's real self, the man who revealed the twisted truth, the man who controlled the prison. And behind him, walking slowly, casually, with a calm that crushed the air, was Claire. But Claire wasn't broken. She wasn't the synthetic weapon. Not anymore. Her eyes were human now. Warm, clear, filled with tears. Nathan's pulse jumped. "Claire?" His voice cracked. She smiled softly. But it wasn't the same. It was deeper, honest, like she'd been through hell and finally found a way out. "Yes," she said, "but you don't know me. Not really. Not yet." The man beside her chuckled, dark, bitter, twisting the room's spin. "You fell for the lie again, Nathan. The perfect script played out by synthetics and shadows." Claire turned to Nathan, her gaze fierce, urgent. "No," she whispered. "The real lie." She swallowed hard, voice breaking just a little. The real lie is you. Nathan blinked, heart pounding too fast to catch. What do you mean? He managed. Claire took a step forward, closer. Her hand reached out, not mechanical, not cold, but trembling, human. You aren't who you think you are. He staggered back, mind racing. Wait, what? Before she could speak again, the man spat, sharp and dangerous. Enough games! Suddenly, the ceiling above them shattered with a violent explosion. Debris rained down. Alarms blared like sirens from hell. Nathan dropped to the floor, ears ringing, hands shielding his face. When he looked up, the room was flooding with red emergency light. And then, out of the smoke and chaos, another figure appeared. A woman. Not the little girl. Not Claire. Not Nathan's father. Her face was hidden beneath a dark hood. But her voice echoed inside Nathan's chest like a hammer. Did you really think you were the player? She stepped forward, lifting the hood slowly. The crowd gasped. Even Nathan's breath caught. It was Emily, but not the ghostly broken machine from before. This Emily's eyes were bright, alive, and burning, pure fire. We made you believe the nightmare was inside you, she said. But the truth is outside, all around, waiting. Nathan's heart shattered in a fresh, raw crack. Emily smiled. The kind of smile that cuts through steel. You were never the ghost. You were the lock. And now, I'm the key. The man to Claire's side clenched his fists, growled low. Nathan felt the broken mirror beside him pulse violently. The shards cracked open again, but this time they didn't reflect Claire, or the girl, or even himself. They reflected her, Emily. The noise swelled. Alarms, distant screams, the clatter of boots pounding closer. Nathan's lips trembled. Who are you? Emily's eyes locked on his. The nightmare you couldn't face. The world tipped again. The room warped, the walls bending in impossible angles. And Nathan realized the war wasn't inside him. It was just beginning. And he wasn't the key. He was the lock that held her in. I'm sorry, Nathan, Emily whispered. Then she smiled. A flash of cold, pure silence. And everything went black. But her last words echoed inside the void. No funeral. It's not just us now. It's her. And the question that burned cold and sharp, who is the real monster? The silence cracked like broken glass. Nathan's chest tightened with a cold, raw ache. Emily's eyes burned in the shadows, filled with fire and rage that scraped at his soul. The room, the whole twisted machine of lies and metal, felt like it might collapse. His hands trembled, skin cold and slick. Whoa, Nathan breathed. Is this the end? Emily smiled, too sharp, too sure. The beginning. The war never stopped. It just got quieter. Nathan's mind raced, heart pounding like thunder in his ribs. If I'm the lock, then what's your key? Her face softened for a moment, just a flicker, before hardening again. Freedom or destruction, whichever breaks what's left of this cage. The man with the cruel smile stepped forward, jagged shadows falling over his face. You're nothing but a puppet, Nathan. A glitch will erase. Nathan's breath hitched. His vision blurred. Pain stabbed through his chest. Not physical, but worse. Bruises you can't see. He looked to Claire, warm, human, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Hold on," she said, voice cracking. "You're more than their code, more than their lies." "Please," Nathan whispered, barely a sound. "Help me." Emily's eyes flickered. For a heartbeat, something human cracked through. Then it vanished. The lights dimmed. The walls folded inward, like a coffin closing tight. Panic surged, hot, sharp, terrible. And then, nothing. Silence. A heartbeat. A whisper across the void. No funeral. It's not just us anymore. It's her. Nathan's body shuddered. He was floating, falling, lost between truth and nightmare. A sliver of hope, like a pulse beneath the darkness. But the war was still waiting, silent, patient. And Nathan wasn't sure if he could win, or if he even wanted to. The last image burned behind his eyes. Claire's tear-filled gaze, Emily's cold smile, the cruel man grinning like the end of everything. Who's really in control? And what will break first? His world or him? The question hung there, unanswered, as the void swallowed him whole again. Because this story helps us keep these stories flowing your way. Next, flood the comments with your thoughts, your theories. Tell us what you think happened. Who's the real monster? What's next for Nathan? We want to hear you. And most important, instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who have to see how this ends. Don't wait even one more second to spread the word. Only true fans get how crucial this is. This isn't just a story. It's a game changer. And you're now part of it. Subscribe, like, comment, share, or risk missing what comes next. Because once the shadows fall, there's no turning back.